Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, we are continuing the countdown to episode 400, but taking a look at the movie you guys voted in second place. It is an animated movie from 1982. That movie is The Last Unicorn. Now, before I go into this, I do have to mention that I have seen this movie before, but I also have to stress, it was over 25 years ago. In fact, it's inching a little bit closer to 30 years ago. In fact, let me think. I think I saw this when I was 4. So, holy shit, it's been 28 years. Jesus Christ. I remember nothing from this movie. I, guys, couldn't even tell you if I liked it when I watched it at 4. I just happened to remember watching it once. And now I get to see if this thing is any good. Again, I have no fucking memory of it. And the only way I'm going to find out, guys, if this thing is any good at all is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out The Last Unicorn. Well, guys, I am able to tell you one thing so far. This opening song, it's fucking beautiful, man. This thing is really awesome stuff. And I also, guys, I'm looking at the cast list as it's scrolling on screen here. This is really a top-notch cast. This thing, I think, is going to be awesome. Okay, guys, I just find it incredibly creepy that fucking harpy has nipples. They actually drew nipples on its, pendulous breasts. That is just creepy as shit. And it looks wrong every time that they show it because it's almost always a close-up that features the fucking nipples. That's just sick. So these guys all see illusions of Robin Hood and his merry men walking through their campfire, never catching fire, and they believe that it's the real thing. It makes me think, guys, that Cully's men are probably the dumbest people in this entire forest. Holy hell, that was just odd. You know, guys, I know I've mentioned this already, but the music in this movie is beautiful. These songs are fantastic. I'm going to have to download the soundtrack when I'm done filming this. Okay, guys. King Haggard is starting to become incredibly creepy. It isn't helped by the fact that he's voiced by Christopher fucking Lee, and Christopher Lee just naturally sounds incredibly creepy, but the character himself just took a real dark turn in that last scene, and wow, that was kind of chilling. Well, guys, that was The Last Unicorn, and we close out on this awesome opening song again. God damn, I really do have to get the soundtrack to this thing, guys. So let's shut that off. Holy crap. Okay, I know, guys, I've talked about hype a lot in this series and about how I can't stand it. Well, when this thing was up for the vote for episode 400, almost every person who had heard of the movie began to just, dump heaps and heaps of praise on it. Guys, this thing lives up to all of that hype. This movie is amazing. I'm going to start with I might as well start with music since that's what I've banged on about the most in this video so far. The soundtrack for this movie is fantastic. A whole lot of the songs are done by a rock group from the 70s. The group is called America. They turn in a lot of the music for this, and it's fantastic. Of course, if you are familiar with that band's work, then you know that they always pumped out some solid stuff. But this, guys, is like some of their best. This is some of the best I've heard from them ever, and it's one of the big reasons why I have to get the soundtrack. This thing is totally worth getting the soundtrack for. The music is just beautiful. Now, let's start with writing. For those of you who don't know, the Last Unicorn is based on a novel. The novel was written by an author named Peter S. Beagle. And Peter Beagle also wrote the script for this. And that normally, guys, is when you know you are in for top shelf, amazing adaptations, when the author is the one who pens the script. I have no clue how loyal this is to the book, but I'm going to tell you right now, I want to read the book. I'm going to have to go out and buy the book too at some point, because this thing was fantastic, and I'd like to see how the book is. Our characters here are very nuanced and deep. Our story moves at a fantastic pace. One thing I can almost comment on is that, at least throughout the first half of the film, it feels incredibly episodic, where we basically have a small conflict that's there for like 5, maybe 10 minutes, and then we move on to another conflict that has nothing to do with the previous, again for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then when we finally get to Hagrid's castle about halfway through, at that point then the story officially takes off, and we finally have a conflict that goes for more than just a few minutes. However, all of that is done more to build up our cast of characters. And that is a fantastic way of doing it, and that honestly is sort of a common practice with a whole lot of fantasy stories to do it this way, and it totally works. Writing here is fantastic, and once more, the writing here was so awesome. I really need to find the works of Peter S. Beagle and give those things a read. That seriously, guys, is a fantastic thing for a movie to do, is for it to make you want to read works from the author who penned the script. That is awesome stuff. Now, not only do we have a fantastic script, not only do we have an awesome soundtrack, our voice acting is some of the best I've heard in a long time. We have here, guys, a top-notch, stellar cast, including, let's see here, Christopher Lee, Alan Arkin, Jeff Bridges, all of them, and many others are coming in here, turning in fantastic performances. They are knocking it out of the park with each and every line, and it really takes a fantastically written script and it brings it to life even more. The acting here could not have been any better. This is top-notch, amazing acting. Animation. Why don't we touch on animation here? First of all, this film was produced by a company called Rankin Bass, who have a very noticeable art, style, which is very noticeable when you watch a whole lot of their various movies and TV shows and television specials. They have a very noticeable art, style, which is somewhat polarizing. Because frankly, guys, it basically is a setup where characters who are supposed to be beautiful are gonna look absolutely gorgeous and breathtaking, and if characters are supposed to look ugly, they are the ugliest, gonkish looking things you have ever seen. And there is zero middle, ground there. And that can be seen as kind of sort of a polarizing thing when it comes to the art style. However, seeing as how I grew up on works from this company, especially Thundercats and Silverhawks and Frosty and Rudolph and all that, I'm kind of sort of used to it. However, people who aren't used to it may not be able to get into it. Now, a little bit of trivia when it also comes to animation is that the studio that actually handled the animation for this was a studio called Topcraft, who in 1985 shut down, and most of the Topcraft workers formed a new studio which was called Studio Ghibli, which means those of you who are big fans of anything and everything put out by Studio Ghibli are gonna want to look for this, because this thing here is basically a pre-fucking Ghibli film, which has all the same beautiful fluid animation which you get from all of their work, and it is very noticeable. It is fantastic animation. The art style, again, to me is awesome, but then again, that's because it is an art style that I was fucking raised on. Some people are not going to dig the art style here, and it may very well turn them off, so I'm not totally sure if it's going to be your, thing. Sound mix here is very, very good. Special effects, there seriously are a whole lot of really awesome lighting effects, which were added into and layered over the animation, and all of that looks fantastic. Guys, ultimately, when all is said and done, am I able to recommend the last Unicorn? Oh, fuck yes. This thing is possibly one of the best fantasy films I've seen in a long, long time, guys. This thing, it has awesome writing, fantastic acting, animation that is fluid and smooth and almost perfect, a soundtrack that I have to go and download as soon as I'm done filming this. Guys, this thing, guys, hits every single thing in a fantastic and positive way. Yes, I can absolutely recommend this. And if you guys have not seen it, please, by all means, check it out. And honestly, guys, if there's anything I can say, it's been 28 years since I last saw this, and I completely forgot about everything this movie had. And it was a fantastic showing 28 years later. I am going to have this thing in my Blu-ray collection for a long, long time, and I'm damned happy to have it. And now, guys, this is episode 399, guys. The next one is the big one, episode 400. And seeing as on how we've seen what came in second place, anyone who saw, or anyone who took part in the episode 400 vote knows exactly what is coming up next, and I cannot wait. Guys, this movie was just awesome, and I'm really hoping for episode 400 to be just as awesome, if not better. But I'm not going to know until the next time I come and I film for you guys. So anyway, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.